morning or good afternoon now, everybody. It is a great day. Welcome to second service, or as I call it, the better service. Welcome to this time where we get to come together. And what's funny is that sometimes the service is light, and then the other times this one's heavier than the first. But we'll see how it goes. As you can see, my wife instructed me to bring up my conversation piece, and everybody sees it. And so this yesterday was my best friend because I was so dehydrated that I drank, before we left the park, I drank that whole thing. It was full of lemonade, and then I filled it up with water and drank all that. And so, my goal now, you guys will see this around a lot more, and I'm sure that this lemonade thing will come off, and I'll put something else on there. But my goal now is to drink 2 of these a day and to eliminate soda. Well, we've pretty much eliminated soda, but to start eliminating other stuff. So today, guys, we are talking about complaining, and what I want to do is, if you don't have a Bible, or if you have a Bible, open it up, and we're going to open up to Philippians 2:14 through 15. And one of these things, I was just outside, and I was talking with our bass player, Scott. And Scott goes, one of these things that we fail to do sometimes is we fail to put the Bible in everybody's hands and open it up. And our key verse today is kind of an important one. It's an important verse, and it says, and I don't know where it's at in our Bibles at all, but if you get to it a little bit, it says, do everything without complaining or arguing. So again, it's Philippians 2:14 through 15. Melissa's bringing about some Bibles, but again, Philippians 2:14 through 15. And it's good if you have one in your hands, because we're going to go through some other verses today. So do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation. Guys, that is huge. We all complain. In fact, I guarantee most of us in this room right now, we all know somebody who complains. Put your hand up. You know a complainer, just somebody who complains all the time. They just always are complaining. Now, leave your hand up if that person's you. Is that person you? Do you complain all the time? Is that you? Because that's me. I complain all the time. I am that person that I just complain. But there's some people who love to really complain about everything. They complain about the weather. We could go outside right now, and it's a beautiful day, and they'll go out and go, man, I wish it wasn't so hot. Well, tomorrow it'll be in the 70s, and they go, man, I hate this weather. It's cold. I wish it was hotter. It's like there's no median. They'll complain, they'll come into service, and they're like, man, the music is so loud in there. Why is it so loud? And then we get the opposite. They go, why is the service moving so slow? Why, it's boring. It's always one of those things that we get. My favorite one, this is the best one, is that I made my order at the window at the little kiosk that you created for me to make my order at, to give you enough time that when I get to the window, my order should be ready to go. It's called fast food for a reason. I don't want to sit at the window for another 3 minutes or another 6 minutes. I want to get it and go. I was hungry when I pulled in the parking lot. I didn't want to wait for you to make it. So I complain about that. Last night we went to Popeyes. And Popeyes, we go late at night because we don't know how to eat like regular people. And so we went, and we got there at 10 o'clock, and we started eating. We ordered our food, and we got up to the window. They're like, it's going to be a few more minutes for the chicken nuggets. Oh, okay. So we just hang out here, we just wait here, or now we need you to pull around front. Now you get around front, and there's all kinds of other people waiting for food too, and it's like, maybe you should make some more food there, and it's always, we complain. That's what we do. Some of us, we have the spiritual gift of complaining. It was like that God just handed it to us. Here's your divine gift. It's complaining. See how well that works out for us. That's how we look at it. In the Bible, in Job 10:1, I loathe my very life. Therefore, I will give free rein to my complaint, and I will speak out in the bitterness of my soul. Now, Job had a right to complain. We walk around here and we complain about fast food, we complain about the weather, we complain about these little things. But Job had a right to complain. Job's family had been wiped out. His cattle had been wiped out. He had lost everything. His fields had been burned, and he was covered in boils. So, and if you've ever seen, like for me, I like watching retarded movies sometimes, and I watched Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, and the guy that was all covered with the boils, and it was like, Can you imagine that? That would give you something to complain about. You're going to be like, man, God, why? You're going to get upset. You're going to go, God, why is this happening? And why do I have to deal with this? And why is this going on? For us, nobody in here has ever called me and said, Mike, I came home today. The house was burnt down to the ground. Everybody was gone. The cats, the dog, everything was just laying out on the front yard. I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, I'm covered in boils now. What am I supposed to do? Nobody's ever called me that. So nobody has a right to complain, right? Is that what it is? We just don't. You've never called and said that's going on. You know, this week on Facebook, I asked it on the church page, and I asked it on my page, what are you tempted to complain about? What is it that you're tempted to, some people answered, and I got opposite answers. It was amazing. So one people would complain and go, I don't like my job. I hate the people I work with. I hate this. And then another person would chime in, I hate the fact that I don't have a job. I hate that the next thing would pop up is someone would go, several complained about, let me get back to my notes here. Several people complained about having too much to do. I am too busy. I have too much stuff going on. I have to be here. I have to be there. I have this going on and that going on. And then there was other people that complained, I am so bored. There is nothing to do. It was like the complete thing of opposites. Women had these special answers. Some of them complained about not being able to have children. Others complained about their own children. One of those other complaints is most women don't like housework. Who would have thought? I don't blame them. Some complained about their bodies. Most complained about their husbands or not being able to find a godly man. Now, men complained about traffic, paying parking, potholes, bad drivers. Yeah, way to go, man. Tons of substance to those complaints, right? It's lots of things in there. A lot of guys said they don't have enough money. One guy, this is the one that just took the whole thing. One guy complained about toilet paper, and he said, it's over, not under. You can't trust anybody who gets the toilet paper wrong. That is a sin. You are demonic from the pit of hell. It may be established on this day. It's over, not under. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit has been said. Okay, so I admonished that. I put a little bit on that of my own. But really, when I read it, over, not under, that's great. I mean, it's how many people say the same thing? Don't put that, it's got to be this way. We complain. But this is not the beginning of complaints. It wasn't like it got to 2013 and somebody said, all right, it's time to start complaining. It's been going on forever. Ever and ever. In Exodus, the people have been freed. They've had 10 plagues. It's all come through, and people are going, hey, it is amazing we're free. And then they get out in the desert, and they go, hey, wait a minute. Nobody said we were going to be wandering this joint for 40 years. Nobody said we were going to be wandering this desert forever. And they started complaining. Look, they had food every day. They go outside, there'd be food. They had water. It would just spring up out of a rock. It'd be like, boom, there would be water. They'd be like, man, that is amazing. Their clothes never wore out. Literally, their clothes never, could you imagine having kids that could go slide across the grass and get up and be like, oh, no grass stains, it's all good. They could just do whatever they wanted. Their clothes never wore out. They had no needs. No needs. But they wandered around going, this sucks so bad. I hate you, Moses, and I hate you, Aaron, and I'm tired of this. I don't want to be doing this. In fact, in the Bible, it tells us in Exodus, in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if we had only died by the Lord's hand in Egypt, okay, they would rather have been dead than to have everything provided, to have food, to have water, to have clothes, to have fellowship, to have people around them. They would rather have died than to continue going through that and continue living the life that they were living. That just doesn't make sense to me. I hear that and I go, they were dumb. They were dumb people back then. Why would you do that? Here's what they look at. They remember things. We sat around pots of meat. That's what they would remember. So you got to remember is that they were getting manna. They weren't getting meat. So they remember we sat around pots of meat. We sat around. We were able to tell stories, and we were able to, this was a little bit of work for them. And we ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us into this desert to starve us. And they said this entire assembly to death. That's Exodus 16, 2 through 4. Here's the deal. You want to be divisive. You want to divide things. You want to continue to put up roadblocks. You want to continue to go, hey, I want to create space in between people. All you have to do is continue complaining. And then rationalize it. Say, everybody else does it. It's not that big of a deal. He did it. He did it. And we just rationalize it. We just continue to go, you know what? It's okay. You continue to divide yourself in between you and God. You continue to put a separation there. We look at the cost of complaining. Number one, complaining offends the heart of God. And we don't understand that. If you have kids, you'll understand this, though. So you go and maybe you're a kid, or maybe you were a kid, and you look at it and you go, oh, I remember that. So as a parent, your parent maybe gave you everything. They would give you the Xbox. They would give you the Wii. They give you the Nintendo. You got everything. They literally lavished you with gifts. They just continued pouring out on you. And then they took you everywhere. You went to Six Flags. You went to Great America. You went to Waterworld. You had everything. But then the kid come up, I'm bored. I'm bored. And what do? You look at you little brat. You know, what is wrong with you? Well, how do you think God looks at it? God looks at it the same way. I have given you so much. I have lavished you with gifts. You have so much going on. And what do? You go, I hate you. Why don't you give me more? I need more money. I need more friends. I need more of this. I need more of that. Instead of going, God, I truly appreciate everything you give me, we go, I hate you, and I want to do it my way. And that's what we do. We complain and complain and complain and complain. Numbers 11, 1 through 2, it tells, the people complained about their hardships and hearing from the Lord, and when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Okay, so we hear this word, and sometimes we hear aroused, and we put our minds in the gutter. This is not that type of anger. This is the anger that when we get upset, you guys know when you get angry, you can feel it, and sometimes it stirs inside of your stomach, and it builds up, and you can feel it, and it gets in your head. And if you're white like me, then you can show that angry because you look like a tomato, and your head's getting ready to explode. And it's like, oh, what is wrong? What is wrong with you? Why are you angry? You can tell. Your anger has arose. It's coming. You've awoken it. Well, that's exactly how the Lord felt at this time. You would woke his anger. The fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. That's Numbers 11, 1 through 2. The complaining made God so mad. Listen, God was so upset about their complaining that he started lighting stuff on fire. Can you imagine that, you got somebody upset, you complained so much, and then all of a sudden he's like, I got some gasoline, and it's time to go do some damage. Or, how about this? You walk outside and your lawn is burnt up, and you go, oh, maybe I've been complaining too much. That's kind of how God, you walk out there and you go, that's how God took it. They have been complaining way too much, and he's just, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the anger. I'm tired of this. Stops. What do we do with our kids? We do the same thing when they continue to complain. Go to your room. We divide ourselves because we're tired of it. We don't want to continue hearing it. We put room in between us, and we go, no, we can't keep doing this. It causes anger within us. Especially I got a 7-year-old daughter running around here. She cries and whines and complains, and it does. It gets us angry. Sometimes it gets us to the point where you can start seeing the anger. You can see our blood pressure rise, and you can see all this. God gets the same thing. We were made in his image, in his likeness. He has the emotions that we feel. He feels the same thing sometimes. He just handles it differently. He just really handles it completely different than what any of us do. But he gets to this point, and he's like so angry. Complaining has consequences. It really does. When we complain, it has consequences. Now, very practically, this is one of those things. A couple weeks ago, we had a guy here, and we have these Ricoh copy machines, and he was here. And this dude had some pretty bad breath. I mean, it was bad. Bad. And so when they were working, and they called me over from my office to this office, and I walked in and go, man, it smells bad in here. And I traveled in a little further. I was like, man, what is that? We got to fix that smell. It's not good. And I came around the corner. There was nothing in there dead. But there was some dude in there breathing. And it was bad. Really, really bad. And so the closer I got to him, the worse it was. And I said, ooh, so what do? I'd step back. And that's how that's how our relationship is. The more complaining we are, this is very simple. The more complaining we do, the more that people step back from us. The more they go, oh, I don't want to be around that. And sometimes you could be in this office complaining, and I have to go hide over here just like I did from the guy who had this raunch breath. I mean, it was dragging. It was, maybe he was the one setting the fires out for God. I don't know but it was bad. But as I looked at it, I go, that's gonna work someplace in one of these services. It's gonna be great. And really, when I look at it, I go, man, but it's amazing. Is that once I was talking with Brother Kevin, he comes up and he goes, hey, he's all, one thing I've learned about praying with people, you always have breath mints because they don't pay attention to the prayer when you got dragon breath. You just breathe like because they want to step back. Their first thing is, I gotta go. I gotta step back, but I can't handle it. I just, that's exactly what happened. So as we create this divide with God, we're like, oh, he hears our complaints. It's like dragon breath. He's like, I gotta go. I don't want to be around that. Oh, I lost my spot. That must have been good. I lose my spot like that. How long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the complaints from these grumbling Israelites. So tell them, as surely as I live, not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home. That's Numbers 14:27-28. If you don't get what you want, because I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm not going to continue to hear you complaining. I'm not going to continue to tolerate it. I'm done with it. Literally what he does, he just goes, I'm tired of this. I've given you so much. I've given you all this. Given you this rock, I give you water, I give you bread, I give you all these things, but yet you continue to complain. I'm going to withdraw my blessings. Now, it's not something certain about that. All I know is I look at the verse, and I look at it, and I go, wait a minute. God says that he pulls away from us when we continue to complain. He tells us. He says, I'm going to pull away. I'm not going to give to you anymore. And it's not, maybe it'd be fair. I don't know. But as I look at it, it's just how we are with our kids. Our kids come in, and they complain, and they complain, and they complain. As they get older, they complain about different things. I want to go to this party. And then they beg, and they complain. Well, why won't you let me go to the party? I want to go. I want to go to... And what do? We end up sending them to their room, and we push them away. No, you're not going to the party. You're not going to be around me. I'm not going to... You see how this works? We're his children. He treats us like that. And so when we do these things that our children do, we get the same results. The exact same results is that he pushes... He's like, come to me when you have a better attitude. Come to me when you're not going to complain about everything. Go to your room. You're not going to the party, and stop whining. That's what he tells us. No, it's not what he tells us in it doesn't say, I'm going to withdraw from you. No, but when you look at this, he goes, I've heard you grumbling against me. I have heard these complaints. And I tell them, as surely as I live, I know we'll enter the land. I'm not going to provide what I've even already promised you. Because all you do is you just continue it's just like how we are. We promise an allowance, and we go, oh, you didn't do this, and you complained about it. And you know what? I'm going to withhold that. Because next week, you might realize that it's important. We have to stop complaining. We have to change what we do. There's a story about a realtor, and I really don't know if it's true or not, but it fits in my sermon. This realtor is out trying to sell a house, and he's got this group, he's got this couple, and they're traveling along, and they go, hey, can you tell us about the people here in town? This is a valid question. A lot of realtors will do. They'll answer that. And he goes, well, tell me about the people that you used to be around. And he goes, well, they were all judgmental. They were full of hate. They were just nasty people. And he goes, chances are you're probably going to find that here too. And then also the next day, he's out doing the same thing with some other people, and they ask him, hey, tell us about the people here. And he goes, well, tell me about the people that you used to be around or that you used to live in. And he goes, oh, they were great. They were just loving people. They were always there for you. They would always take care of you. And he goes, well, then you're probably going to find those people here. If we want to be negative, we're going to find negative people around us all the time. We're always going to find it. This complaining that we do we're always going to find it. I hate this. Well, guess what? You're going to find a bunch of people that hate it along with you because that's just how we are. We like to roll together. We're designed to be in community. Remember, we talk about this all the time, community. So when we hate something, we're going to find a whole bunch of people that hate it along with us. It's real. Look at politics. We're so deeply divided. There's one people on one side, one people on the other side. We roll together. It just doesn't matter. That's how it is. Or you can take a young woman. She goes out, and she gets wronged by a guy. She gets hurt. And all of a sudden, here's what happens. She goes, well, All men are evil. None of them are any good. They all suck because of one. That's what happens. And all of a sudden, they have a whole different personality, a whole different change. They look at men and they go, I hate you. You get this. And it's really, there's a thing, it's called cultural bias. It's an actual term. It's actually in the Bible. It's called cultural bias. What happens is that as we connect with people, we become biased towards it. It happens. So one thing happens, we get offended, we jump on the bandwagon for it, and then all of a sudden we're in a cultural bias because it becomes that way permanently. You see that way with how people treat each other. You see that way with all these different things. So you look at it and just go, it becomes a confirmation bias because then all of a sudden we're confirmed enough and we're riding along with it and we want to complain together. The really thing is that we think that we're God. We want it when we want it. We're not willing to wait. We're not willing to wait for his time. We continue to go on our own and we go, you know what? I have a right. It's a God-given right to complain. Well, and really, and I'm going to read my notes because I think it's the best thing. It's the bottom line is God is the center of the story. He is the main character, not us. He does not exist to serve us. God isn't sitting on the throne going, oh, they're upset again. It's time for me to jump down there and fix this. He doesn't do that. He doesn't go, oh, I got to jump down there. Oh, Mike's crying again. Let's go fix it. It doesn't work that way. He doesn't go, oh, yes, I'm going to take care of this. He doesn't go, it's time for me to go try and make him happy. We exist to serve him. He is the King of Kings. He is the Lord of Lords. We exist to glorify him. He is the main character. We're not. He is the main character. We're not. When you complain, it's because you think you are the main character. When you complain, you're going, you should answer to me and I should be taken care of. That's what you do when you complain. I'm upset about this. I'm upset about that. You are not the main character of the story. Everything is done to glorify him. So let's start glorifying him and stop complaining. It's a real simple answer, a real simple solution. Resisting complaining. We have this problem because a lot of us, we just can't resist it. We have to complain. We have to. It's like I said at the beginning, we have this spiritual gift of complaining. And really, it's not a spiritual gift, but it's just, we have it. We've been doing it so long that it's ingrained into us. It's part of us. We complain about everything. So what we have to do is we have to, number one, the what? Do not complain. So Philippians 2:14, do everything without complaining or arguing. I'm going to start quoting this to my children every day from the rest of my life. I mean, really, it's that important. Do everything without complaining or arguing. It's very simple. If you are married and you're struggling in your marriage, it's probably because one of you guys is complaining all the time. And what happens is that if you realistically, if you stop complaining and you stop being angry, then guess what happens? You have to do other things. You have to start talking about other things. You have to start working with one another. You have to start praying together. You have to start doing life together. Maybe you'll pick up the Bible and do that together. But on the main point, all you do is go back to, I hate how this house looks. I hate how this looks. I hate how that does. I hate what our kids are doing. I hate this. I hate that. Well, yeah, your marriage is not going to be very good because all you're doing is complaining. You have to start, and what happens is that when we complain, your wife starts to step back, or your husband starts to step back and go, yeah, I really don't want to be around you. You got dragon breath. Get away from me. That's really what we get to. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be around you. We have to give up our God-given right to complain. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building up others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Ephesians 4:29. Anytime that you're about to complain in the next week, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stick your tongue out your mouth and shut your teeth down on it. Just any time. And figure out how much less you talk. Because really, the problem is that we talk so much that we complain all the time. So every time that you're going to do it, you go, I'm going to complain about this. Just go ahead and put your tongue out through your teeth and just chomp down on it. Because it's very hard to complain that way. It's very hard to complain with your teeth on your tongue. But really, you will find is that all of a sudden the world starts becoming a quieter place. Because all we do is complain and complain and complain and then complain some more. We just don't find happiness. Don't complain and ride your kids all the time. Look for things that build them up. Don't go to work and go, I'm sick of this place. I hate the people I work with. look for ways to be positive about it. God, thank you so much. I'm blessed with this job. I'm here to make a difference in this place. What do we have to do? Let what comes out of your mouth be helpful for building others up rather than tearing down. I don't know anybody in here that ever came to me and said, complaining makes everything better. Because I've never heard of one story of complaining making anything better. It just doesn't. Complaining does not make things better. The why. So you can become more like Christ. It's a simple answer. The why. Stop complaining so you can become more like Christ. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God, without fault in a crooked and deprived generation. Okay, now, this was 2,000 years ago. He wrote this letter 2,000 years ago, and they called it was then crooked. The generation was crooked at that point, so we talk about it now. And we go, now we have all these other things, social media, we have easier access to all these different things that lead us into sin, which are bars. We have all this easier access into different media. We have porn that's easily accessible from any computer, iPhone, any of those things. We have all these different things, and we call that generation bad. They played with sticks, stones, and rocks. You know, they had rocks, and they built their houses by hand. They weren't out procuring lumber and tearing down trees. It was adobe, and they go, this is a corrupt generation. So let's go back to now. Let's think about today. So we have so much pulling against us, so much pulling us away, so much dividing us in between God. We cannot continue to go out and go, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and keep complaining. Because we want to become blameless and pure. He doesn't come out and go, hey, don't lie, don't cuss, don't steal, don't cheat, don't look at women lustfully so that you may become pure. He said, stop complaining. Stop complaining so that you can become pure. There's no other line. It doesn't come out and go, okay, you got to do all these other things. No. Stop complaining. Do not complain. Don't complain. Luke 6:45, for out of the overflow of his heart, his mouth speaks. If our heart is not right, then we're still really losing the battle in significant ways. It is huge. Because even though you might not talk about complaining, you might still feel it here. You might still feel it here, and that's what comes out of your mouth. So how do we change that? What do we got to do? We got to change our joy. We have to look at it and go, we have to start looking at things oppositely. We have to stop looking at them and going, oh, it's got to be, oh, God, God's going to give me this. God, got to give me that. No, we need to, God, thank you for all that you've given me. Thank you for doing all these different things. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you. Guys, I want to tell you something, is that 90% of the world, 90, not 9, 90% of the world lives on $12 or less a month. 96% of the world lives on $33 or less a month. That number is staggering. When you hear this, this is the richest country in the world. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right here, where we live at right now, we have more than anybody else. There's no place that throws away more food. There's no place that gives away more money. Guys, we don't even make up 4%. We're only part of that. 96%. So when you look at it and go, I don't have money for, I don't know, Jack in the Box. Okay. We look at it and go, there's people out there that go, I don't have money to get a bag of rice to be able to provide for my family for a month. Literally. Starving to death. We don't have money. You know, guys, and imagine this. Rice, maybe a vegetable. That's what your deal consists of. And maybe every once in a while you get a protein, whether it's a chicken or something very, very rare. Most of the time, it is rice, a vegetable, maybe some bread, if you made it that day. It's very, very, when you look at it and you look at what we have here, guys, eating top ramen is something that's a privilege for them. Top ramen, and we look at it and we go, we complain about that. Now, I understand if you're eating top ramen 3 times a meal or 3 times a day, and it's been 60 days straight since you've been eating top ramen because you want to live like no one else so that you can live like no one else later. You don't want to go into debt, and you're like, this is what I can afford, and this is what I'm going to eat, and I don't break out my credit card to buy groceries. I understand that. I really do. But when you look at this at other countries and other nations, they're looking at it and they're going, we live on so much less, but we do so much more with it, and we are so thankful for what we have. Are you thankful for what you have, or do you continue looking and go, I can do it on my own way? But we look at it completely opposite. We complain about it. God, this is the fourth meal straight of top ramen. God, this is we're having spaghetti again this week, or we had spaghetti last week, or we had this last week. Are you serious? It's not rice and vegetables for 34 days straight or 38 days straight. Maybe you get a meat product in there. No. We have to look at and we have to change what we look at. Then it helps make our heart right. So we have the what? Do not complain. We have the why, so that you can be more like Christ. What's the how? To rejoice no matter what. To rejoice no matter what. Philippians 2, 17 and 18. But even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming along from your faith, I am glad and I rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me. Now Paul was writing the book of Philippians, and he was to the church in Philippi, and he's in prison. Yeah, there's some questions. Some people say he was on home arrest at this point, but he was locked up. And so as he was there, he's sitting there, and he's writing these letters. And for him, he's at this point right now, here's what's going through his mind. He's going, this is probably the end. This is the third time he's been locked up, and he's sitting there, and he's going, this is probably it. He doesn't come out and go, hey, this is unjust. It's not fair. I really hate prison, and this place ain't fun. He's not doing that. He comes out, and he goes, even if I may die, I'm going to rejoice because I did this for Christ. Even if I die, I am going to be happy, and guess what? You should be happy too. He doesn't go, hey, complain with me, and let's get on this sob story. He goes, I am doing it for Christ. To me, I look at that and I go, man, if this guy can suffer through so much, he can suffer through being locked up, why is it that I can't enjoy a meal of top ramen? Why is it that I have to complain about my house looking like it's lived in? Why is it I have to complain about the guy in front of me driving down the road that doesn't really know how to drive? Why do I have to complain about that? I could always bite my tongue. I could always hold back and see how much more peaceful my life becomes. Because right now, all I do is increase my blood pressure. I increase my anger, and you can feel that anger. You're just like, and what the problem is that we allow other things to compound on it. And so all of a sudden, our anger, we complain about one thing, but really we're angry about something over here, and that last one thing just kind of tips us over. And it makes us to where we take out our anger on the wrong thing, or we take out our frustrations and we complain about something, and all of a sudden we have more difficulty. People are like, oof, dragon breath, dude. I don't even want to be around you. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very hard to continue doing life that way. We should rejoice. We should be glad for everything that He has given to me. Even if I die, even if I give my life for Christ. Most of us would be complaining. He doesn't complain. He just continues looking at it and going, I'm going to continue working for Him. We always have this thing. We look at it and go, my glass here, I've drank half of it, so it's half full. Or it's half empty. And we have to remember is that the glass is always full. We need to start looking at things differently, and we need to rejoice about it, because the glass is always full. It's halfway full of water, or it's halfway full of juice, or whatever you have in it, but the rest of it is full of air. The glass is always full. And it's just because you can't see it, and just because you can't feel it, doesn't mean that it's not there. The glass is always full. It's just how God is with us. He's always there. We need to stop complaining so He stops backing away, and so we can embrace Him and go, God, I'm just so thankful for everything You've done for me. I'm so thankful that You're a part of my life. I am so thankful that You have given me so much already. Instead we go, God, why do I have to work in this dead-end job? Why do I have to work here? Instead we go, God, thank You so much for giving me this job. God, thank You so much for allowing me to provide. Thank You so much for allowing me to have food. Thank You so much that I got to go spend $200 at Walmart today so that I can feed my family. Where most families get $33 all across the world. $33. Can you imagine doing your Walmart shopping on $33 going, we got to survive a month off of this? Guys, we have so much here. We need to be thankful, and we need to stop complaining. And we need to start going, you know what, God, thank You so much for giving abundantly. We have to change our perspective. We just have to look at things a little differently. And it's not even a drastic thing. It's just looking at it a little differently. Just looking and going, God, you forgave me so much. I don't have to complain about this. And watch how your heart changes, and watch how your heart starts to be filled with joy rather than hate and animosity and anger. All of a sudden you start going, man, God, I'm so thankful for this. And, we're so thankful for our children. And even though they're brats, we know that. But we're thankful for them. We're thankful for every bit that we get to have with them and every moment that we get with them. Because I will tell you is that if you have kids that have been 16, 17, 18, 30, whatever they are, you look at it and go, man, I remember the day that I first held them. That's what we need to think about. We need to remember that joy. We need to remember what we have. Instead of looking at it and going, God, why is it that I have to wear these shoes again today? Just have to be thankful. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you have given to us. Everything that you've given. You've given us so much already. God, you're not done giving yet. You have given so much. You give us our lives. You give us all this food that we get. You give us the clothes on our back, and you continue to provide over and over again. You've provided us with this church and this family and this church family and these activities we get to do and this life that we get to do with one another. God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the people you have surrounded us with, and thank you so much for just how much that you continue to bless us and you pour out on us. God, we are sorry. That we fail to recognize it sometimes. We fail to recognize that we're complaining, and God, we are sorry. And help us recognize that when we complain, and help us know that complaining divides us. And God, we just ask that we want to be as close as possible with you. We want to be with you. We want to be there all the time. And God, so I want to stop complaining, and I want us all to stop complaining, and I want us all to make this commitment to stop complaining. Stop complaining about these things that we can't control, to the people around us that we can't control, and start being thankful that they are part of our lives, and that it's part of our life, and that we are growing with it, and we are growing together. God, thank you so much. And all this we pray in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.